We're in Unit 8, which is all about circles, circle equations. So in section 8.1, we're going to identify the center and the radius of a circle, given its equation. And then we're going to create equations of circles from the center and radius. And then tomorrow, we're going to convert equations from general form to center radius form. So we're going to spend 2 days on section 8.1. So section 8.1, starting with writing the equation of a circle. The important part is that this equation, this is the center radius form of a circle. All right, it looks kind of weird, but we have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Couple things in here. The center is h comma k. So what you're going to do is you're going to take whatever is in the parentheses right here, and you're going to flip the sign when you put it into the center radius form. And then from right here, again, you're going to flip the sign when taking out the center, okay? For r squared, if you want to find just r, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to square root the r squared, and that's how you're going to get a normal radius, all right? R means radius. So right here we have the center radius form of the circle. What we're going to do is we're going to take the center and the radius and we're going to put it into this form. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the center numbers into h and k, and then we're going to take the radius and then we're going to square it. Okay, so super important that we always square that radius. So here we go. Number 1. We're putting it into this form. So we're going to write down parentheses. It's going to be x minus squared plus y minus some number squared, and then we have equals. We're going to have a number here that we have to square also. So right now, all we've done is write out the equation of the circle without h, k, and r. So when we put it into this form, this is your h and this is the k that's going into the circle equation. So we're going to put x minus 3, and then we have y minus, we're going to put negative 6, and then we have equals 6 squared. So this radius went right there. Last thing that we have to do is just change that double negative. Do you see next to the y there's a double negative? We're going to change that double negative into a plus. And then we're going to change 6 squared into 36. So our final answer is going to be x minus 3 squared plus parentheses y plus 6 squared equals 36. So we're going to write out x minus something squared plus y minus something squared equals, and then we have r squared. So right now I'm just writing down this equation of the circle and leaving out the h and the k. We're leaving those out. For the center, here's h, here's k. H goes next to x, it's in the x position, it goes next to x. K goes next to y, it's in the y position, next to y. So we have x minus, so that'll be negative 2, and then we have y minus 5, and then we have equals 4 squared. So we're going to change this into plus plus, and then we have to change that 4 squared into 16. So we have x plus 2 squared plus. So that one changed. We had to take that double negative and turn it into positive 2. And then we have y minus 5 squared, and then we have equals 16. Let's try this next one, number 3. So in this one, we have x minus something squared plus y minus something squared equals something squared. Here's h, here's k, and we're going to put that radius of 3 into the correct spot. So we have x minus 0 squared plus y minus plus u negative 4 squared, and then we have equals 3 squared. Right here, I'm subtracting 0 from x, all right? So we're just going to change this into x squared, just x squared, because we don't have to subtract anything from it. And then we have plus, we have y minus negative 4, that turns into y plus 4 squared. And we have equals 3 squared, which is 9. Number 4. This one has a center at 0, 0. So I'm going to do something similar to what I did in number 3. So I have x minus something squared plus y minus something squared equals r squared. So here's h, here's k. We have x minus 0, y minus 0, and then we have 3 root 5 squared. So when we convert this, all right, so I'm subtracting 0 again from x, so I'm going to rewrite this as just x squared because I'm not subtracting anything from x. So we're just going to leave it as x squared, and then we have plus y minus 0 squared. Again, I'm not subtracting anything from y, so I'm just going to leave this as y squared, and then we have equals. To get the correct number for r squared, 3 root 5 squared, you must put 3 root 5 in parentheses before you type that into your calculator. All right, so you have to make sure that the whole thing is in parentheses. You put parentheses around 3 root 5, and then on the very outside is where you put the squared symbol. And that final number for 3 root 5 squared is 45. All right, so we tried 5 and 6 on our own, and for number 5, you should have gotten x plus 1 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 64, and number 6, we have x minus 12 squared plus y plus 7 squared equals 49. The positives and negatives inside of the parentheses matter. If we don't write those correctly, the answer is completely wrong. All right, so that is part of knowing the equation of a circle. All right, so the last part of the lesson is taking the equation of the circle and finding the radius and finding the center of the circle. So what we have here in number 7 is x minus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 144. To find the radius, what you're always going to do is square root that final number. All right, that number on the end, you're going to square root it. So we take the square root of 144, and you should get the number 12, so your radius is 12. From there, if the question asks you to find the circumference, you'd be using 2 pi r. If it asks you to find the radius, the area of the circle, you would do pi r squared. And finally, to find the center of the circle, what you're doing is you're taking these two numbers and you're flipping the symbol. You have to flip. So my center is at positive 2, comma, positive 5. So we flip the positives and negatives, and that's what we wrote at the very, very top. All right, when we wrote it in here, when we take it out of this form, you have to flip the positives and negatives. In number 8, you're going to take the square root of 625, and you should get the number, I believe it's 25. Perfect. And then to find the center, you're going to take this number and flip this time. Now, typically it doesn't say x minus 0 squared. Usually it just says x squared, in which case you would put the number 0, comma, and then we have the number 7. So my center is at 0, comma 7. For the next one, we have x minus 15 squared plus y plus 8 squared equals 289. So you're going to take these two numbers, that's going to be your center, and then you have to square root 289 to find the radius. So the square root of 289 is 17, and your center is at positive 15, comma, negative 8. So we flip those signs. Number 10, we have x plus 11 squared plus y plus 6 squared equals 25 over 16. All right, a little bit funky. You're going to do it the exact same way. So we have the 11 and the 6, and you have to make sure that you flip those signs, and then you have to square root that whole thing. The square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 16 is 4. So your final answer for the radius is 5/4. You see? We square root the top and the bottom, and that's how we get the radius. And then we have a center at -11, -6. And then finally, number 11, we have x plus 4 squared plus y minus 9 squared equals 196. We're going to flip both of those symbols. So we have -4 and +9. And then we take the square root of 196 and we get 14. If it's not a perfect square on the end, you are required to break it down. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Without that perfect square, and these were all perfect squares. And that is today's lesson.